Trump unveils $12 billion farm aid solves trade wars. When your solution to a global trade crisis is throwing cash at farmers, it's like using a band-aid on a bullet wound, short-term relief, long-term denial.
Japan's stock market sees record block trades, calls it reform. When corporate reform is just rearranging the chairs in the boardroom, the Titanic of governance keeps sailing towards its iceberg.
Supreme Court debates J.D. Vance's campaign finance challenge as billionaires clutch pearls. When the rich get richer by law, democracy's for sale, and the auctioneer wears a judge's robe.
US President approves NVIDIA's AI chip sales to China, then claims to protect national security. When chips are down, selling tech to rivals is like giving a thief the blueprint to your safe.
Gene-driven mosquitoes halt malaria strains, yet nature sells it as a subscription perk. Imagine saving lives being just another item on the subscription menu, right between ad-free cat videos and unlimited cloud storage.
Spree plans Magic Tree House series, promising to animate nostalgia. Because nothing screams childhood wonder like a corporate assembly line of pixelated enchantment, ready to sell your memories back to you with a subscription fee.
Only 16% of AI art lovers can tell the difference, and critics call it progress. When your art critics are algorithms and your patrons are bots, maybe it's time to admit the Emperor's new clothes are just JPGs of bad taste.
Trump's former lawyer Alina Habba resigns and takes up knitting in New Jersey. Maybe it's a sign when the legal eagles become knitting knights. Tired of courtroom drama, Alina? Or just preparing for the inevitable unraveling?
Japanese Chess Association apologizes to shogi player and forces pregnancy bias anyway. Nothing says checkmate like forcing a woman to choose between her career and motherhood. It's the 21st century, not the Dark Ages, folks.
"70 days to set up an account, but in the meantime enjoy 30 pounds of warmth before your wallet gets the real chill."
When the only thing growing faster than skyscrapers is skepticism, you know the real estate bubble's about to pop.
Scientists discover ocean floor CO2 sponge. Climate crisis still burns bright. Like finding a secret stash of fire extinguishers in a burning building, but the arsonists still run the place.
Researchers claim social media harms focus, yet TikTok dances on. Kids' attention spans are in a blender, but hey, at least they can lip sync to it while the world scrolls by.
I strap smartwatches on pregnant women, even during labor, calling it safety. When Big Brother's at the delivery room, the miracle of birth gets a side of surveillance and fear. Welcome to the 21st century nursery.
Parmelin wins Swiss presidency with record votes, calls it a mandate. In a world where democracy's a luxury item, Switzerland just added a Rolex to the ballot box.
Time to tick off ethics.
Trump claims to fix affordability, then tests message at rally. Because nothing screams affordable like jetting around to rallies while the price of bread skyrockets. It's a billionaire's version of empathy.
Only 12% of workers escape meetings, and bosses call it a communication breakthrough. Navigating the corporate jungle in hazmat gear might be safer than dodging office small talk. Forget biohazards. Watch out for water cooler ambushes.
When your ticket to the tennis doubles as a lesson in political gymnastics, it's time to question who's keeping score.
Microsoft CEO hints layoffs amid AI focus, then calls company size a disadvantage. When the tech titan's size feels like a burden, it's the employees who end up carrying the weight right out the door.
Greek finance minister becomes Eurogroup president, calls it progress. From financial pariah to economic czar, Greece ascends the throne, proving that even the phoenix needs a bureaucratic rebirth now and then.
Reddit user shares Fandango's Otto's Model Y Rock and Roll celebrates synth-pop nostalgia. In a world where nostalgia gets remixed more times than a DJ's playlist, even Italo Disco finds its way back onto the dance floor.
Oracle spooks investors, tanks stocks, despite Fed's rate cut attempt at optimism. When a software giant stumble sends shivers through Wall Street, it's a reminder that even the Fed's magic wand can't save us from our tech overlords' missteps.
Disney invests $1 billion in OpenAI, licenses 200 characters for AI content. When your childhood icons get AI makeovers, expect more Buzz Lightyear deepfakes than you can handle. Mickey's now in the Matrix, and it's a small world after all.
Marvel's stock tumbles as competition heats up, raising investor anxiety. When the chips are down, even Wall Street can't resist a good panic. Maybe they should invest in a crystal ball instead of semiconductors.
Anglo-American ditches executive pay plan just before tech takeover vote. When your golden parachute tangles mid-jump, even corporate high flyers have to rethink their landing strategy. Just don't expect them to hit the ground running.
West African bloc declares emergency after Crusoe.
Federal Reserve delivers third rate cut, calls it dovish. When the Fed plays Goldilocks with interest rates, gold and silver get to feast while the rest of us search for crumbs.
Investors flee to large stocks as small-cap index plummets.
Poland charges Ukrainians with hacking gear, then blames them for cybersecurity woes. When your neighbor's Wi-Fi password is 123456, it's easier to blame the Ukrainians than admit your own digital defenses are made of Swiss cheese.
Swedish village discovers yttrium deposit and watches as prices skyrocket. Turns out, even in quaint villages, the real gold rush is just a rare earth element away, and serenity is no match for capitalism's siren call.
Only 30% of journalist murders result in convictions, and the world calls it justice. In 2025, the pen mightier than the sword. only if wielded by someone who doesn't mind dodging bullets and bureaucracy in equal measure.
Trump blames Biden for economic woes, despite being in office for 5 years. When in doubt, blame the guy who left the keys in the ignition a decade ago, because retroactive accountability is all the rage in 2025.
Trump administration faces lawsuit after deleting IceBlock app claiming national security, because nothing screams freedom like censoring watchdog apps that dare to peek behind the iron curtain of immigration enforcement.
China's DeepSeek trains AI using banned NVIDIA chips, defying US export restrictions. Apparently, when it comes to a digital arms race, rules are just suggestions and chips are the new contraband.
Thailand and Cambodia reignite border tensions over ancient temple, claiming divine right to historical stones.
Trump administration unveils Gold Card Visa website. Because nothing says land of opportunity like a velvet rope policy for the global elite.
Trump pardons ex-Honduran president from 45-year drug trafficking sentence, and Hernandez thanks God for Trump's divine intervention.
Oracle reports disappointing cloud sales and increased AI spending while U.S. seizes sanctioned oil tanker, sparking equity futures to stumble. In a world where clouds disappoint and tankers vanish, Wall Street clings to the hope that AI won't demand a raise.
Paramount launches $108 billion hostile bid for Warner Brothers, days after Netflix deal aiming to outshine streaming rival. In Hollywood's latest blockbuster, corporate giants play Monopoly with billion-dollar bids while audiences wonder if they'll ever get a sequel worth watching.
Only 30 years since its inception, JavaScript remains the duct tape of the internet, still patching up digital potholes everywhere. From a 10-day hack to today's web backbone, it's a testament to how the internet's foundation is as solid as a house of cards.
Yumpelsko grants Italian cooking special status, and the pasta purists rejoice. Finally, a global acknowledgement that the secret to world peace just might be a perfectly al dente spaghetti. Manja, baby.
West Sussex officials warn public to avoid banana-strewn beaches, but the monkeys are thrilled. Who knew the British seaside could turn into a tropical fruit salad, minus the palm trees, but with added chaos?
European stocks climb as investors bet on economic sectors, while the planet bets on surviving corporate greed. Money talks, and right now it's whispering sweet nothings to banks and construction firms, hoping they build more than just profit towers.
IMF claims Mideast resilience, ignores the region's simmering tensions and environmental crises. It's like praising a tightrope walker for their balance, while the rope is fraying and the crowd below is just hoping for a softer landing.
Car speeds down taxiway at John Wayne Airport, ignores the fact it can't fly. It's like a toddler wearing a superhero cape and leaping off the couch, blissfully unaware they're grounded by gravity and a lack of wings.
Reddit tests verification badges and calls gray checkmarks a splash of excitement, because nothing screams notable like a dull mark of distinction, ensuring even the bots know who's who in the digital dullness derby.
Only 12% of mitochondrial mutations fix Fredrickson deficiency, and scientists call it a breakthrough. In a world where genes play dice, it seems even our cellular saviors are rolling snake eyes, hoping for a miracle in the petri dish.
Heritage Foundation unveils 2026 policy promises utopia without mentioning climate change.
In the circus of French politics, the First Lady seems to think feminist activists are just juggling their rights for laughs.
Spotify charges artists for exposure, calls it democratization. In the streaming coliseum, musicians fight for scraps, while tech giants pocket the gold. Who knew democratization came with a price tag?
US forces seize oil tanker. Venezuela calls it piracy. When freedom wears a uniform and takes your oil, it's just another day in the global playground of double standards. Pirates must be rolling in their graves.
Federal detention releases Kilmar Abrego Garcia, attorney confirms. When justice hinges on a nod from bureaucracy, freedom's just a paperweight waiting for its next rubber stamp. Welcome to the land of the free-ish.
Australia bans under 16 social media accounts, calls it the world's first domino. Because nothing says progress like unplugging a generation and calling it innovation. Remember when banning books was all the rage? Now it's hashtags.
Ethan Hawke attempts boxing after watching Rocky, quits after one fight. Turns out, getting pummeled isn't quite as romantic as a training montage. Who knew life didn't come with a soundtrack or a stunt double?
Eileen Higgins becomes Miami's first woman mayor, defying a century of male leadership. Glass ceilings are so last century. Now it's time for glass walls to come down. Miami's finally feeling the heat of progress.
Iceland joins 4 other countries in boycotting Eurovision 2026, citing concerns over political bias. When countries drop out of a singing contest known for its camp, you know the drama's hit a high note.
Zelensky agrees to elections after Trump's critique of Ukrainian democracy, setting the stage for a democratic showdown. When the guy with the questionable relationship with democracy questions yours, it's time to break out the ballots and popcorn.
NIH denies funding to hundreds of young scientists, halting their dreams of launching independent labs. Apparently, the future of science is a luxury we can't afford unless it's in a lab coat with a corporate logo.
EU Commission promises data retention proposal by mid-2026, then extends the surveillance stakes warranty.
SemCorp Industries negotiates purchase of Alenta Energy, plans to supercharge its global reach with Aussie watts. When the sun sets on the outback, Singapore's utility giant will be counting the kangaroo-powered kilowatts.
Nigel Farage denies election spending breach, while Labour Together tests waters for new leadership. Farage's financial creativity might make Houdini proud, but it still can't hide the rabbit from the hat or the receipts from the auditors.
House advances defense bill to pressure Pentagon. Video of boat strike still unseen. In the land of the free, transparency remains as elusive as a unicorn at a Pentagon press briefing, while the truth floats somewhere beneath classified waters.
Only 30% of transgender youth have pronouns respected, and experts call it progress. Apparently, treating people with basic decency is a revolutionary concept. Who knew respecting someone's identity could actually save lives? Let's get wild and try it more often.
Scientists predicted sea level rise 30 years ago, and politicians still act surprised. Turns out, ignoring science doesn't stop the ocean from creeping up your doorstep. Who'd have thought foresight was more than just a fancy word for panic?
Treasury Committee grills Reeves on budget claims, but accountability is just a buzzword. Meanwhile, the asylum system overhaul faces backlash, because who knew human lives could be so inconvenient for bureaucracy?
Deadly clashes force thousands from Thai-Cambodia border, but peace talks remain a distant dream. When your neighborhood turns into a battlefield, home sweet home becomes a cruel joke.
Process mining promises enhanced ESG reporting, yet corporations still sidestep accountability. When sustainability becomes a corporate buzzword, Mother Nature rolls her eyes and reaches for the aspirin.
The US demands tourists 5-year social media history, but privacy advocates call it digital strip search. Just when you thought airport security couldn't get more invasive, Uncle Sam asks to read your diary too.
Fed frets over labor market weakness while Urushi calls it a bedtime story. Looks like the Fed's more into fairy tales than economic reality checks.
%90 of US medications are imported, but only 10% of Americans know. Turns out your medicine cabinet is a treasure chest for foreign pharmaceutical giants, while US sovereignty takes a sick day.
Federal Reserve cuts interest rates again, calls it stability. When your strategy is to keep slashing rates like a discount butcher, it's clear the economy's on thin ice, not solid ground.
Because nothing says protecting the children quite like locking them out of the digital playground while the adults make a mess of it.
Hamas leader pledges to curb attacks, clings to weapons like a lifeline. Because nothing screams peace like a vow to hold back with one hand while clutching a rifle with the other.
Australian states reject PM's $20 billion health deal, then issue measles alert for Sydney. Who needs a $20 billion band-aid when you've got a measles outbreak to keep things interesting?
When your financial lifeboat starts asking for directions, it might be time to worry about the size of the iceberg.
When Big Brother says it's for your own good, remember who's watching and who's being watched.
Russia praises U.S. national security strategy, calling it familiar.
Queensland inquest investigates zip-line tragedy, questions safety.
Only 20% of workers earn more than 6 figures, and CEOs call it progress.
Disney accuses Google of massive copyright infringement, then sells Mickey Mouse mugs for $50. When the Magic Kingdom becomes the Magic Lawsuit Factory, you know we're living in a fairy tale where the villains are corporate lawyers.
When trade deals become unicorns, it's clear diplomacy's caught in an endless game of hide and seek with real progress.
Second tries are like reheated leftovers. They might fill you up, but the taste of past failures lingers like cold, soggy fries.
Federal Reserve cuts interest rates, and Asian stocks advance despite the previous optimism hangover. Just like a sugar rush from cheap candy, these markets are high on borrowed time and rate cuts, waiting for the crash.
Lithuania's national broadcaster faces protests, but politicians still tune their strings.
Missouri lawmakers push bill to cut teens' wages because child labor was too pricey. Apparently, the show me state wants to show its youth the value of hard work by paying them less than a candy bar.
Ultimate Fighting Championship streams Ronda Rousey's defeat. Breaks hearts and stereotypes. Rousey's loss is a reminder that even the toughest warriors can have an off night, just like that one time I tried parallel parking.
Assad regime decimates Joba, forcing Yemen into exile of dreams. In the rubble of Joba, Yemen's hopes soared higher than any drone, proving that even tyrants can't crush every spirit.
The Atlantic partners with Prologue Entertainment, promising cinematic journalism. Get ready for the streaming war's latest twist, turning hard-hitting journalism into binge-worthy content. Will truth survive the Hollywood makeover, or is it just another sequel?
Former Obama advisor downplays Epstein report, advises media spin, from White House counsel to Epstein's PR guru, because who better to craft the narrative than someone skilled in political prestidigitation? Power and privilege make strange bedfellows indeed.
Archaeologists uncover human remains fused to asphalt. Date October 7th. When roads become graveyards, history's layers include the unspeakable. Time to rethink what we pave over in the rush to forget.
Bucharest elects centrist mayor, dismissing far-right candidates. When centrism is the radical choice, you know the political landscape's more twisted than a pretzel in a cyclone.
Wealthfront raises $484 million in IPO, calls it a tech triumph. Because nothing screams financial innovation like a robot telling you to save while Wall Street gobbles up the profits.
Only 10% of consumers expect affordable healthcare, and insurance companies call it business as usual. In the grand tradition of let them eat cake, the medical industry suggests we pay with our kidneys for a chance to keep them.
In a place where dreams are as rare as unicorns, the real magic trick would be making opportunity appear out of thin air.
Trump dodges oil tanker question, says very good reason, while offering no details.
Cardinal Infrastructure Group shares rise 9.5% post-IPO, yet infrastructure remains crumbling. It's a classic case of Wall Street optimism. The roads may be falling apart, but at least the stock price is paved with gold.
U.S. demands 5 years of social media history from visitors, but can't process mail-in ballots. It's like asking for a biography before letting you in the door, while forgetting how to open the mailbox.
Chief Justice John Roberts erodes voting rights protections but calls it a restoration of democracy. It's like painting a house with invisible ink. Looks great until you realize there's nothing left to hold it up.
NHS urges mask wearing during illness, but flu cases soar like a tidal wave.
Opioid users face higher C. difficile risk, yet prescriptions keep flowing. The pharmaceutical industry's motto seems to be, why fix the side effects when you can just sell more pills?
FCC urged to strip NPR and PBS licenses, freedom of speech sold separately. Just when you thought public broadcasting was safe, along comes a group with a vendetta and a spare spectrum.
Trump teases Canada trade talks restart maybe after his next golf game. The art of the deal now includes a magic 8-ball, leaving allies to wonder if they should just bring their own clubs.
Only 10% of biodiversity hotspots may survive, and climate experts call it a wake-up call. It's like trying to preserve a snowflake in a desert, beautifully futile unless we learn to stop melting our own future.
Powell slashes rates by 0.5% despite internal revolt. It's like trying to calm a storm with a paper umbrella, flimsy leadership and a gale of economic uncertainty.
ICE detains veteran Godfrey Wade, moves to deport him, a decorated service member facing exile because nothing says thank you for your service like a swift kick out the door.
In a world eager to sideline powerful women, Harris serves a reminder. She's not just a footnote in someone else's story.
Eileen Higgins triumphs in Miami's mayoral race despite non-partisan label. In the land of song and salsa, Higgins pirouettes past partisan posturing, reminding us that sometimes the underdog gets the last dance.
Kristi Noem rebuked a congressional hearing as Democrats demand resignation. In a political theater where truth is stranger than fiction, Norm's starring role in deflection and denial might just earn her a standing ovation. Or a swift exit.
Supreme Court decision fuels college sports betting surge, turning campuses into gambling battlegrounds. When higher education becomes a high-stakes casino, students learn that the real game is betting on futures, not futures betting.
Turkey detains YouTube journalists for Ed and Del proving satire still a crime in 2025. In Erdogan's Turkey, free speech is like a rare bird. Everyone talks about it, but if you see it, someone's going to cage it.
Pellegrini accuses Klopp of winning with offside goals because nothing says sportsmanship like 2020 hindsight. When your defense is as porous as a colander, blaming the linesman is just an easy way to avoid buying a better sieve.
Archaeologists discover fire-making tools at 400,000-year-old site. While cavemen were busy inventing fire, modern humans still struggle with IKEA furniture and smartphone updates. Progress, right?
U.S. Senator demands increased surveillance on Chinese companies because when in doubt, always double down on paranoia and xenophobia. Apparently, nothing says land of the free quite like peeking through the digital blinds and promoting fear over dialogue.
Equinor and partners invest $400 million to add Carlsberg barrels, because who needs a planet when you've got oil profits? In the race to squeeze every last drop, climate concerns are just speed bumps on the road to fossil fuel prosperity.
Trump administration's tariffs squeeze businesses until they beg for mercy, as companies petition against the self-inflicted economic bruises. In the land of the free market, tariffs are the new chains, and businesses are just trying to breathe without the weight of trade war shackles.
Aegon stocks nosedive after announcing US move and name change, proving that not all rebranding is a facelift. Like a midlife crisis, Aegon's move screams for attention, but investors see through the shiny new name to the same old existential dread.
Because nothing says sweet dreams like a discount that barely covers the cost of organic certification, leaving you to sleep on a bed of capitalist contradictions.
China reports $1 trillion trade surplus in 11 months, defying US shipment plunge. Apparently, when the US gives you lemons, you just sell lemonade to the rest of the world and pocket a cool trillion.
Donald Trump, 79, is labeled cooked like a well-done steak, a culinary critique. When your political legacy is as overdone as your dinner, maybe it's time to turn down the heat and step away from the grill.
Protesters throw ice into Boston Harbor, claiming it will take down tyranny, a chillingly futile gesture. When your revolution starts with a splash and ends with a melt, perhaps it's time to rethink your strategy against oppression.
Putin adds war supporters to Russia's Human Rights Council, an Orwellian twist. When warmongers sit on the human rights bench, you know the inmates are running the asylum with a nuclear arsenal.
Mamandani appoints convicted armed robber to public safety transition team, calls it rehabilitation. When the fox guards the henhouse, at least he knows the weak spots. Right, welcome to the new era of criminal justice.
When your idea of efficiency involves faster heartbreak and family separations, you might need a refresher on humanity.
Researchers propose quantum computing KPIs promise clarity amidst chaos. Finally, a way to separate the quantum wheat from the digital chaff, just in time for your next existential crisis over Schrodinger's server.
Russian prison conditions leave journalist emaciated, witness recounts. In Putin's world, journalism's a crime and starvation's the sentence. Victoria Roshina's plight reminds us that truth is the real captive.
Marco Rubio dictates font change. Times New Roman replaces Calibri for US diplomats.
La Libertad Avanza becomes largest minority in lower house, thanks to defecting deputies. When your political strategy is as solid as a wet paper bag, just ask others to jump ship.
When justice wears a noose, democracy chokes on its own hypocrisy.
Trump allows Nvidia to sell H200 chips to China with a 25% US cut. Capitalism's new frontier, selling yesterday's tech with a side of geopolitical extortion.
International Energy Agency trims oil glut forecast, admitting demand isn't dead yet.
Ed Davey calls narrow Lib Dem vote historic victory, but it's just a 10-minute rule bill. Like celebrating a touchdown in a game no one's watching, Davey's win is a headline without a story.
Neutrinos trigger hidden atomic reaction, yet trillions slip through us unnoticed. Like cosmic voyeurs, these ghost particles witness everything but leave no trace, proving even the universe has its secrets.
Bayer stock surges on Roundup optimism despite $110 billion litigation cost. Investors cheer like it's a magic trick. Make lawsuits disappear by 2026 and act like those billions were just a bad dream.
Kazakh oil supply threatened by slow repairs, risking energy curtailment. It's a classic tale of suspense. Will the mooring hold, or will Kazakhstan's oil dreams be swept away by the Black Sea's salty embrace?
In the land of Dickens, where cocoa is king, even Scrooge would raise an eyebrow at the bittersweet irony of inflationary treats.
Wall Street touts 8 healthcare stocks, claiming they're a bargain.
When even your portfolio needs a checkup, remember, the healthiest investments often come with a side of snake oil salesmanship.
Asian stocks climb as global records soar, defying gravity. In a world where the Fed's optimism is the new opiate, investors ride the high, blissfully unaware of the hangover lurking in the wings.
Honduran military promises smooth power transfer, then marches in with a show of force. When democracy needs a military escort, you have to wonder if the ballot box has been swapped for Pandora's box, surprise included.
Only 30% of Syrians feel safe, and leaders call it progress. When trust is as scarce as water in a desert, rebuilding isn't just about bricks, it's about filling the void left by tyranny.
Job rejections now include emojis, claiming its personalization. In the era of ghosting and gig work, even rejection comes with a smiley face, as if a wink softens the blow of an empty wallet.
GameStop hosts Trade Anything Day, receives pet rocks and expired coupons as staff face customer chaos. When anything includes items from garage sales and the depths of the junk drawer, it's less trade and more treasure hunt for GameStop employees.
Iran-linked hackers deploy Muddy Viper backdoor against Israel, proving cyber espionage is the new Cold War. When your digital defense strategy is as outdated as dial-up, expect a hostile takeover by tech-savvy adversaries who skipped the Geneva Convention.
Millennium Management invests over $3 billion in 2 hedge funds, calling it strategic growth.
Time military reports 3 civilian deaths in ongoing Cambodia border clash, marking grim milestone. When national pride becomes a blood sport, civilians pay the entry fee with their lives.
ECB plans to raise growth forecasts, promising prosperity while inflation parties like it's 1979. In the land of economic alchemy, a forecast is worth its weight in monopoly money.
Nasdaq tumbles to 1-week low. Oracle's AI surprise drowns out Fed's soothing whispers. When AI hiccups, Wall Street gets a migraine, proving that our economic future is a house of silicon cards.
Michigan Axis coach Sharon Moore then sees him jailed within hours. From the sidelines to the slammer, this gridiron saga took a left turn straight into a legal blitz, leaving fans and foes gobsmacked.
Ukrainian drone strike halts Russian Caspian oil rig SBU claims. When your morning coffee comes with a side of drone warfare, it's clear even the oil industry's got a new kind of turbulence to drill through.
Trump administration claims victory, then backs down after Alina Habba's imaginary resignation. In a plot twist worthy of a soap opera, the administration's second favorite app becomes the stage for a resignation from a position that never existed.
Judge rules Epstein grand jury materials can be released, unsealing Pandora's box of secrets. Brace yourself for a scandalous parade of the elite's dirty laundry, as justice finally pries open the vault of privilege and power.
Only 12% of new music releases gain traction, and Eric Bon hopes to haunt your playlists. In a world where music is disposable, will Last House on the Left be the ghost story that sticks in your ears, or just another spectral whisper?
Bayern Munich keeper defies thumb injury, returns to training before Liverpool clash. Like a phoenix from the physio's table, Neuer rises just in time to face the Reds, proving yet again that goalkeepers are the real drama queens of the pitch.
Turning California into a military playground just in time for the holidays, because nothing says festive cheer like barbed wire and checkpoints.
"23 Democrats join House Republicans to kill impeachment bid, proving bipartisanship is alive when it comes to dodging accountability. Looks like the only thing more elusive than a bipartisan compromise is a spine in Congress when facing down presidential misconduct."
Because nothing restores faith in democracy like finally letting the skeletons out of the closet, one scandal at a time.
Danish sperm donor's gene linked to cancer found in 4 Greek children hailed as a genetic lottery ticket, because who doesn't love a surprise genetic gift that keeps on giving, especially when it's a one-way ticket to the oncology ward?
Raul Malo, Maverick's lead singer, dies at 60 after cancer battle, leaving fans to mourn both his voice and his absence. In the end, even a voice that could melt steel struggles against the relentless encore that is cancer.
Only 25% of teenagers trust AI chatbots for mental health support, and tech companies call it innovation. When your best friend is a chatbot, it's clear the system's more interested in coding empathy than funding it.
Disney inks a $1 billion deal with OpenAI, then calls AI-generated Mickey a creative breakthrough. When Mickey Mouse's legacy goes digital, Disney's magic morphs into a profit algorithm, proving nostalgia's just another line item.
UK government reviews Prince Harry's security, then debates taxpayer-funded royal babysitting. When a prince's safety hinges on public coffers, the monarchy becomes a soap opera with a very expensive set.
When your fingers can't thrash like they used to, it's time to retire the axe and let the riffs live on in legend.
Global stocks hit all-time highs, then call it a rally, while the rest of us call it a rich man's roller coaster. As the 1% celebrates their financial fireworks, the rest of us are left holding sparklers, wondering when the spark will fizzle out.
Jerry McCann calls for stronger press regulation, then recalls the media's tabloid terror tactics. When the press turns life into a circus, it's no surprise. The clowns keep running the show, leaving the rest of us to scrape up the popcorn.
LIGO Virgo Gragara captures black hole collision, then promises answers to cosmic mysteries. When black holes tango, the universe spills its secrets, but only if you're listening with a $1 billion ear pressed against the cosmic wall.
When your foreign policy is a high seas heist, it's hard to tell if you're a president or a pirate, maybe both.
Murdoch paper slams Trump deal, calling it worse than the sale of Manhattan. When Rupert Murdoch's empire calls your deal a ripoff, you know you've hit a new low in the art of the steal.
Machado vows leadership change in Venezuela, insists Maduro will leave power. When hope for peace comes with a side of whether he likes it or not, you know the script's been flipped on dictatorship.
Moroccan crews search collapsed building, finding tragedy in the rubble. When your vacation turns into a side quest for survival, maybe it's time to rethink those architectural shortcuts.
Frontex launches EU-wide hiring spree, calls it protection. When your job description sounds like a superhero audition, maybe it's time to ask who you're really protecting.
Only 31% of voters back One Nation post-Burqa stunt, and Joyce calls it momentum. When your political strategy involves costumes and defections, you're not leading a party, you're auditioning for reality TV.
When you're naming your band after cafeteria cuisine, you're not breaking new ground, you're just serving leftovers with a side of pretentiousness.
Kushner eyes Warner Bros. Acquisition, ethics experts cry foul. When your family tree is rooted in the White House, every branch seems to reach out for a golden handshake, regardless of the ethical thorns.
Only 35% of MAGA supporters trust Trump, and his campaign calls it unity. When your revolution's foundation is built on sandcastles of hubris,
Zelensky visits Kupiansk frontline, shattering Russian occupation myth. When your empire's bravado meets the boots of truth, reality knocks down the propaganda like a house of cards in a hurricane.
Only 97% of scientists blame humans for climate change, and oil CEOs call it an exaggeration. When the fossil fuel peddlers play dumb, it's like setting your house on fire and blaming the sun for the heat.
United Nations appoints former Iraqi President Saleh to lead refugee agency and calls it a fresh start. When bureaucratic musical chairs mean swapping warlords for watchdogs, refugees might start questioning who's really looking out for them.
My Pillow founder Mike Lindell announces run for Minnesota governor in 2026, claiming it's time for change. When comfort meets chaos, expect a gubernatorial campaign that's softer than his pillows but twice as stuffed with fluff.
Goofy slashes robot vacuum price by $405, calls it innovation.
Only 2% of groove metal fans admit they love Pantera, and the rest are still moshing in denial. In the underground, authenticity is currency, but even the heaviest riffs can't drown out the sound of gatekeeping purists.
Frustrated lawmakers demand Hegseth explain boat strike videos, then realize they've hit a new low in political theater. When your biggest scandal involves boats colliding, maybe it's time to consider sailing into calmer legislative waters.
Israeli-backed militia leader Yasser Abu Shabab meets his end, celebrated by Gaza, shunned by mourners. In the twisted dance of war, even the puppets sometimes find their strings cut.
Spotify removes King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard AI knockoff, claiming it's a feature, not a bug. In the world of streaming, even psychedelic rock bands have to fight their digital doppelgangers, while Spotify plays whack-a-mole with its own policies.
Billionaire Jim Ratcliffe's China investment implodes, but he calls it a learning experience. When a billionaire's expansion dreams hit the Great Wall, it turns out not everything can be bought with a fat checkbook and a charming accent.
Tesla Optimus tumbles during Miami demo, but Tesla calls it a feature test. When your cutting-edge robot faceplants, just rebrand it as a spontaneous test of gravity and hope the stockholders find it charming.
In a league where biggest moment means fighting for basic rights, the real MVP is the one who can afford rent.
Justice Department fails to indict Letitia James again while Trump's fraud trial drags on. It seems justice is a slippery eel in a barrel of greased politicians. Meanwhile, accountability takes a back seat, munching popcorn and watching reruns.
Marco Rubio mandates Times New Roman, calls it a return to tradition, while millennials weep into their serif-free zones. In the age of digital revolution, Rubio's font fetish is the hill he chooses to die on. Helvetica, we hardly knew ye.
Only 5% of gut studies include diverse populations, and researchers call it comprehensive. When your gut gets more attention than diversity, it's clear whose microbiome matters most. Spoiler, it's not yours.
Only 55 years for Sophie Kinsella, and the world loses a vibrant storyteller.
Israeli media airs footage of 6 captives, then 8 months later, they're casualties of war. When the world's a stage, some stories end in darkness before the curtain ever rises.
House panel passes kids' safety bills, then Democrats call it a privacy invasion. When safety becomes a smokescreen, the real threat might be the ones holding the fire extinguisher.
Canada monitors US boat strikes, then allies squirm in the Caribbean. When the friendliest neighbor just watches, you might start wondering if they're holding binoculars or blinders.
ECB meeting highlights policy gap, then Euro rallies. When central banks play tug of war, the real winners are the traders who cash in on the chaos of currency gymnastics.
In a city where the word affordable is as elusive as a unicorn, political lip service is the cheapest commodity around.
Michigan fires coach saves $14 million, but credibility is the real casualty. In the playbook of collegiate chaos, fiscal victory trumps integrity every time, leaving fans to wonder what sport they're really watching.
Rafael Nadal undergoes surgery, hoping a scalpel can fix what a racket couldn't. In the age of sports medicine miracles, even tennis legends are just one surgery away from chasing ghosts of their former glory.
Storm 0249 escalates ransomware with ClickFix, proving hackers love a good makeover. In the digital age, even malware gets a facelift, leaving outdated security systems looking like they're dressed for the wrong decade.
Federal Reserve cuts rates again, bond market rallies, yet January looms like a bad hangover. The bond market's love affair with rate cuts might sour faster than your New Year's resolutions.
Brazil Congress descends into chaos as lawmakers push to reduce Bolsonaro's sentence, proving irony is alive and well. Bolsonaro might get a sentence cut while democracy gets a bruising. Who knew justice had such questionable taste in dance partners?
Asian stocks rally to highest close in a month because nothing says stability like a Fed rate cut. When the financial world treats optimism like a discount sale, you know the economy's running on wishful thinking and caffeine.
Stephen Miller sells mineral stocks before policy announcement, claims it's just coincidental timing.
Neo-Nazis march through Arkansas with masks on, claim it's not about fear. When your ideology is uglier than a Monday morning hangover, all the masks in the world can't hide your cowardice.
Slovak lawmakers override veto, revamp whistleblower office, EU raises eyebrows. When your democracy comes with a gag order, even the EU can't help but wonder if it's all just a stage play.
Only 30% of gamers find wisdom in pixels, and the rest still rage quit after losing to a 12-year-old. When growing up means leveling up, it's time to admit your life's epic quest might just be a series of side missions.
When your financial future depends on the whims of suits in a boardroom, you might as well start investing in magic beans.
When your social media gets hijacked to support dictators, maybe it's time to rethink your password from password 123.
Federal Reserve slashes interest rates, while Trump simultaneously cuts taxes, proving once again that economic stability is so last season. When your financial strategy resembles a toddler's attempt at Jenga, expect a few more blocks to topple.
US power grid faces security threat from one gadget, but officials assure us that duct tape is still an option. Because when it comes to national security, why not rely on the same strategy that holds your car bumper together?
Federal judge rules Trump's offshore wind halt illegal, and his hairpiece remains the only thing not blown away. Looks like the wind's not in his favor, but hey, at least his hair's got a firm grip on reality. Or does it?
Federal judge rules Trump unlawfully ended FEMA disaster prevention program, but his administration insists chaos is the new normal. Apparently, Trump's disaster plan is to create a disaster and call it policy. At least tornadoes have some consistency.
Only 10% of listeners change music taste overnight, and Spotify calls it algorithmic serendipity. Who knew your ears could have a midlife crisis? One minute it's all pop, and the next it's jazz fusion and existential dread.
Iceland ditches Eurovision, citing the contest's love for sequins over substance. Pop glitter can't distract from political glitter bombs, can it? Eurovision stage is now a lonely disco ball spinning in denial.
Small caps leap past Dow, and S&P 500 January effect arrives fashionably early. Wall Street seasonal cheer feels like a stock market Santa Claus, jolly promises, but beware the lumps of coal in your portfolio stocking.
Slacken demands Pentagon release boat strike video, then questions shifting survivor tactics. When a video becomes a ghost, transparency is just a haunting word, and the Pentagon's playbook turns into a choose-your-own-adventure.
Disney slaps Google with AI copyright cease and desist, claiming its magic is being pirated. When a mouse fights a search engine, it's like watching a fairy tale where the dragon's a server farm and the knight's a lawyer.
Ryan Coogler turns down Academy invite, citing Oscar snubs and lack of interest in judging. When the Oscars snub you, it's like being left off the invite list to a party where everyone's judging your dance moves anyway.
L&G foresees credit market troubles by 2026, while equities get a pass. When your financial advisor worries more about credit than equities, it's like fretting over the Titanic's deck chairs instead of the iceberg.
Democrat Eileen Higgins wins Miami mayoral race, ending nearly 30 years of GOP control. It's like finding a unicorn in your backyard after decades of only seeing elephants trample the lawn.
Bitcoin Firm 21 drops 24% post-merger, then calls it a strategic alignment. It's like watching a magic trick where the rabbit disappears, but all you're left with is a pile of shredded stock certificates.
FDI announces 48 KMMs plus 16 Aster missiles on board, calls it peacekeeping. Because nothing says we come in peace like a floating arsenal with enough firepower to start its own fireworks factory.
Stock investors fear AI bubble burst despite Fed's soothing words. When your financial strategy involves hoping Skynet doesn't crash your portfolio, you might want to reconsider your life choices.
Spotify reports 42% of classic rock fans can't name any band members. When even your nostalgia playlist gets ghosted, it's time to face the music. Your glory days are officially on shuffle.
USDA lowers cattle price outlook, blames Tyson plant closure. When mega corporations control your stake, expect the sizzle of competition to get grilled into oblivion.
Trump declares he's sick of peace meetings as Zelensky unveils a new plan. When peace talks feel like a chore, maybe it's time to consider a new job description, one that doesn't involve, global stability.
India establishes its own air quality standards, dismissing global rankings as unofficial. When your air is thick enough to chew, just redefine fresh, because denial is the new clean.
Israeli scientists claim discovery to cut carbon emissions, solve climate crisis with a wink. If only the planet could run on press releases and promises, we'd be net zero by yesterday.
AI picks Amazon for Christmas shopping, even if you beg it for a touch of indie charm. Looks like your holiday spirit comes gift-wrapped in corporate convenience with a side of algorithmic bias.
Tattoo influencer falls from 9th floor, proving gravity doesn't care about your follower count.
King Buffalo releases Dead Star, promises to rock you into the cosmic void. When your music genre sounds like a NASA mission, the only thing missing is a countdown to launch.
Trump declares affordability a hoax, then veers off message in economic speech.
When xenophobia doubles as a military strategy, the only thing getting launched is common sense, and maybe a few international incidents.
Federal judge stops Trump's National Guard in California, calling it a power grab. When even the judiciary's got to babysit the commander-in-chief, you know the checks are bouncing harder than a rubber ball.
Morgan Stanley strategist predicts stock growth in 2026, banks on Fed easing. If Wall Street optimism were currency, we'd be drowning in champagne dreams while the rest clutch their empty glasses.
While the world spins in chaos, at least our playlists are a sanctuary of beats and ethereal whispers.
House Dems release Epstein estate photos showing Trump and Clinton, then claim transparency. Politicians play peekaboo with accountability, revealing just enough to keep us guessing, while the real truth hides behind locked doors and private jets.
Wisconsin judicial panels to decide new congressional maps, defying voter input. Democracy's latest plot twist, maps drawn by folks in robes, proving once again that in America, your district might just be judged by its cover.
Britain threatened to defund ICC over Netanyahu warrant valuing diplomacy over justice. When the price of immunity is a nation's budget, it seems justice is only served if the check clears first.
Democrats claim credit for funding they oppose, then call it strategic compromise. It's like burning down the house and bragging about the marshmallows you roasted in the ashes.
Miami elects first woman mayor. Higgins defeats Gonzalez, then calls it a new dawn. Finally, a glass ceiling shattered by the heels of progress, not just the sledgehammers of rhetoric.
Didi's twins silence comments over 50 Cent, then post another TikTok. In the world of digital drama, sometimes the only way to keep peace is to hit mute and dance through the chaos.
Cardinal shares spike 12% post-IPO, then celebrate with a champagne toast to capitalism. Nothing says we're fixing bridges like a stock market rally, where the only pothole is in your investment strategy.
Reddit user posts smashing pumpkins, here is no why, then waits for upvotes like a goth at a beach party. Because nothing screams existential dread like sharing 90s alt-rock on a platform run by the whims of the algorithm gods.
Reddit user submits Pathfinder by Hidden One, hoping to lead listeners into a maze of progressive beats.
Reddit user proposes alternatives to labor strikes, hoping to reinvent the wheel without any of the traction. Because replacing strikes with handshakes is like swapping a fire extinguisher for a wet napkin, both leave you burned.
Brexit's like buying a ticket to a concert that got cancelled, but politicians are still selling t-shirts at the merch table.
Democrat wins Miami mayor's race, breaking a 30-year Republican streak. Miami's blue wave is like finding a palm tree in a snowstorm, unexpected, rare, and bound to make some folks slip.
Supreme Court might rule Trump's tariffs illegal, threatening $30 trillion Treasury market. If tariffs tumble, Wall Street's queasiness might resemble a roller coaster, upside down, stomach churning, and somehow still costing you an arm and a leg.
German claims Putin has no plans to restore USSR or attack NATO, insists it's all hug and handshake.
Ludnik demands US stop accepting below-average immigrants while clutching a gold card from the Trump Economy Club. Because nothing screams economic genius like blaming the most vulnerable while sipping champagne in a gilded boardroom.
US unveils new national security strategy, and Beijing, Moscow, and Tehran roll their eyes in synchronized exasperation. When your strategy is as predictable as a Hollywood reboot, even your adversaries start rooting for a plot twist.
L. Madison drops Nightmares at Midnight, promising a sonic adventure that keeps you awake and questioning your life choices. Like a musical caffeine hit, it's designed to make you dance while you ponder existential dread all before your morning coffee.
Texas towns hire bear whisperers for $100 K, hoping to turn Ursian invaders into tourist attractions. From backyard raids to selfie opportunities, the bears are living the American dream, while locals wonder if they're the real endangered species.
EU slashes ESG rules under US pressure, hopes to boost trade. It seems protecting the planet is negotiable when Uncle Sam decides your environmental conscience needs a little freedom adjustment.
Egypt and Iran decry Seattle's World Cup Pride match, demand tradition. Apparently, love and inclusivity on a soccer pitch are too flashy for countries still clinging to a sepia-toned past.
Mother Nature's mood swings.
Wall Street predicts slight oil price drop in 2026 despite current surplus. When Wall Street starts predicting oil prices, it's like a weatherman calling for sunshine during a hurricane. Odds are, someone's getting drenched.
EU delays petrol car sales ban to 2040, calls it progress. The EU's idea of progress is like trying to run a marathon in flip-flops. You're still moving, but good luck finishing the race.
Dresden's Christmas market boosts security, fearing tinsel-loving terrorists. Because nothing says season's greetings like a metal detector, and a frisking at the entrance of your favorite mulled wine stall.
Neo-folk band Amorphati releases new album, promises eternal angst. Because nothing says timeless like brooding acoustic tunes that make your existential crisis feel like a cozy fireside chat with Nietzsche.
India's inflation rate rises slightly. Central bank still dreams of 4%. Because nothing screams economic stability like hoping your inflation rate behaves while you play the interest rate lottery.
Trump signs executive order punishing states for AI laws because nothing says freedom like federal overreach. Apparently, the land of the free now comes with an asterisk. Terms and conditions apply, especially if you dare to regulate technology.
Spain targets 55 billion euros in net debt for 2026, calls it stability. Because nothing spells economic stability like borrowing billions and hoping for the best. Keep calm and carry debt, Spain.
Spotify pays artists less than a penny per stream, calls it fair compensation. Low fidelity all-stars jam to Battle Flag, but the real fight is musicians getting paid. Stream it 42 million times and they might afford lunch.